The morning sunlight streamed through the wide windows of Riverside Cafe, casting golden patterns across the worn wooden tables. Lauren Mitchell stood just inside the doorway, her hand clutching the strap of her thrift store purse, taking in the elegant simplicity of the place. Exposed brick walls, comfortable chairs, the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee beans. It was exactly the kind of cafe she'd walk past every day on her way to work. Never going inside. She was 28, though sometimes she felt twice that age. Her brown hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore a beige cardigan over a cream-colored dress, her nicest outfit. Bought 3 years ago for a job interview. She'd paired it with ballet flats that had been resoled twice because she couldn't afford new ones. Lauren spotted him immediately. Her blind date. Nathan Cross sat at a table by the window, wearing a crisp white button-down shirt that probably cost more than her monthly grocery budget. He was handsome in that casual, confident way some men had, sandy hair swept back, strong jawline, the bearing of someone comfortable in his own skin. When he saw her, he smiled and stood. But it wasn't Nathan who captured Lauren's attention first. It was the little girl sitting beside him, coloring intently in a notebook. She couldn't have been more than 5, with light brown hair and 2 small pigtails, wearing a pink dress with tiny flowers. A stuffed pink rabbit sat on the table beside her colored pencils. Lauren's heart sank. Her friend Rachel, who'd set up this blind date, hadn't mentioned he had a child. Not that Lauren minded children. She worked with them every day as a teacher's aide at Lincoln Elementary. But this felt like information that should have been shared. "Lauren?" Nathan extended his hand as she approached. "It's good to finally meet you. Rachel's told me a lot about you." "All good things, I hope," Lauren said, managing a smile as she shook his hand. "Mostly," Nathan teased, then gestured to the little girl. "This is my daughter, Emma. I hope you don't mind that I brought her along. My usual Saturday babysitter had a family emergency, and I didn't want to cancel. Emma, this is Miss Lauren." Emma looked up from her coloring, her blue eyes assessing Lauren with that direct stare children have. "Hi," she said softly, then returned to her drawing, what appeared to be a family of rabbits. "Hi, Emma. That's beautiful artwork," Lauren said, meaning it. She pulled out a chair and sat down, her stomach knotting with anxiety that had nothing to do with first-date nerves. "So what can I get you?" Nathan asked, gesturing toward the counter where a barista was preparing elaborate coffee drinks. "They have amazing lattes here. Their caramel macchiato is incredible. Or if you prefer something simpler, their regular coffee is great too." Lauren looked at the menu board behind the counter. Even the regular coffee was $6. A latte would be $8 or $9. She'd brought $15 with her. Money. She'd set aside from her last paycheck, telling herself it was okay to spend a little on something nice for once. But that $15 was also supposed to cover her bus fare for the week, and maybe a small treat for her. Grandmother. She felt heat rising to her cheeks. This was the moment she'd been dreading since Rachel had convinced her to try dating again. The moment when her reality would clash with someone else's normal. "I'm okay, actually," Lauren said, keeping her voice light. "I had coffee at home before I came." Nathan looked genuinely disappointed. "Are you sure?" "My treat, of course. First date rule I'm buying." Something in his easy assumption that she'd simply accept. That money was no barrier, made Lauren's pride flare up. She'd spent her whole life accepting charity, accepting help, accepting the uncomfortable truth that she couldn't afford the things other people took for granted. Just once, she wanted to be honest instead of making excuses. "I appreciate that," she said quietly, meeting his eyes. "But the truth is, I can't afford coffee here. I can't really afford coffee anywhere, if I'm being honest." She felt Emma's curious gaze on her, but continued. "I know that's probably not what you want to hear on a first date. Most people don't lead with, 'Hi, I'm poor.' But I'd rather be upfront than pretend to be something I'm not." The words hung in the air between them. Lauren braced herself for the usual reactions: pity, discomfort, or that carefully neutral expression people wore when they didn't know how to respond to someone else's financial struggles. But Nathan's expression shifted to something she didn't expect. Understanding, maybe, or recognition. He was quiet for a moment, then turned to Emma. "Hey, sweetheart, what do you think? Should we get hot chocolate?" Emma's face lit up. "Really? With whipped cream? Absolutely with whipped cream. And maybe those cookies you like? He looked at Lauren and something in his smile had softened. What about you, Lauren? Would you join us for hot chocolate? I promise it's not as expensive as the fancy coffee. And between you and me, it tastes better anyway. There was no pity in his voice. No condescension. Just a simple invitation that somehow made her honesty feel less awkward. I'd like that, Lauren said, feeling some of the tension ease from her shoulders. Thank you. Nathan stood and walked to the counter, returning a few minutes later with 3 steaming mugs, topped with generous swirls of whipped cream, and a plate of chocolate chip cookies. He set them down with a smile. 2 hot chocolates and 1 coffee for myself, he said. Perfect Saturday morning. As Emma immediately reached for a cookie, Nathan caught Lauren's eye. I really appreciate your honesty, he said quietly. That took courage. Lauren wrapped her hands around the warm mug, the heat seeping into her perpetually cold fingers. I've spent too much of my life being embarrassed about things I can't control. I'm trying to be better about that. Well, for what it's worth, I respect it. Nathan took a sip of his coffee. Rachel mentioned you work at Lincoln Elementary? I'm a teacher's aide, Lauren confirmed. I work with the kindergarten and first grade classes, helping kids who need extra support with reading and math. It doesn't pay much, but I love it. The kids make every day worthwhile. That's important work, Nathan said. Emma's starting kindergarten next year. I'm already nervous about it. You'll be fine, Emma said matter-of-factly, making both adults laugh. She's not wrong, Lauren said. Parents always worry more than they need to. Kids are resilient. They adapt. As they talked,